young women, we don't want the Lord to see us sitting when he comes back. It's time to rise up, rise up, rise.
Okay, so the first one we have, thank you. The first one we have is to cease to feel resentment against an offender. Pardon, right? So forgiveness is an action word, right? That's it for now. Forgiveness is an action word, okay? Sometimes we as wives have to recognize that because it said offender, right? In parentheses, it said offender. We have to recognize that sometimes we might be the offender in our marriages, okay? It's not always him. It's not always him, okay? There might be some years that it is, it might be some years that it's you. And that's what we're focusing on, okay? All right, so another one that I need is marriage. The definition of marriage, please. Okay, so it says the legally or formally recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship, historically and always. That's what it should say. And in some jurisdictions, specifically a union between a man and a woman. Wow, they put like a lot of politics just in that definition. That's annoying, but anyway, very crafty. But anyway, right? So it says, so our title tonight is forgiveness in marriage, right? So thank you, sis. So we're looking for pardon in your union with the man that you are supposed to spend the rest of your life with. Do y'all understand? A lot of you, when I asked you how many of y'all thought that this particular Titus 2 was about forgiveness, forgiving your husband, just about all of you said you think that that's that, right? And that goes back to lacking accountability, okay? All right, and you have to understand that we live in a very female-oriented society. So the female is taught, and if this has been covered in different, part Titus 2s, then this is just a recap, okay? But we're taught that the so-called Black woman can do no wrong, okay? She can do, no worries. She can do no wrong. Everything, whatever it is that she wants to do, it's fine, as long as you don't offend her, okay? It's almost as if you have to walk on eggshells when you're dealing with the so-called Black woman. We are taught that we can just do whatever we want, but you have to be mindful of how you are toward her, okay? So the next word I do need is accountable, okay? So for accountable, we have required or expected to justify actions or decisions, okay? Yes, a duty, right? Because these are all synonymous, right? So we as so-called Black women, we have to take accountability for our actions, okay? Leadership has touched on this several times, and this Titus 2 might strike a nerve for some of you. It's not to offend, it's for us to recognize that we need to change, okay? That we need to change. It's not acceptable. Like how we are is not gonna get us the kingdom. Being this way is not going to get the kingdom. And do y'all understand that the church begins at home? How many of y'all actually understand that? Who was Sarah, right? Because it says like we call ourselves daughters of Sarah. Who was that? So do y'all understand we're taught to respect everything except the so-called Black man? There we go. So we're in 1 Corinthians 7:28. It says, but and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. Okay, that's 1 Corinthians 7:28. Understand that sometimes you can be the trouble. The trouble can come from your end. Okay? We're not focusing tonight on, but he did. Sometimes the trouble can come from your end. Y'all understand they have been working on this. It's no accident that most of the jobs are given to us, right? Especially those higher up jobs. and then keep the most of the men. Not all, we'll keep most of the men down in the lower positions, because they know that the psychology behind it is going back to that eugenics tree that leadership has brought out years ago. Okay, the psychology behind it is, well, women naturally want to be supported and in a stable situation. He can't provide that to her if he's always on the lower end. That's all psychology. So are you going to know how to be a wife immediately? No, you're not. Which is why in Titus chapter 2, in Titus 2 verse 4, right? It says, it talks about how the men are supposed to be, right? And then it talks about how the women are supposed to be, which is taking accountability, right? Because when you're repenting, you're understanding that accountable is going to have to be one of those staples. Like, you know how, like, well, how we had to stock up, right? How we still currently have to stock up, right? And you want to make sure that you have your staples. You want to make sure you have your flour. You want to make sure that you have your yeast, but keep it in the right place, because Passover will be right around the corner. Yeah, right? Anybody got time for that? You want to make sure that you have your staple cleaning products. You want to make sure that you have your, your rice, right? Your grains, right? Because some of y'all be like, I don't mess around with rice. You want to make sure you have your staples, right? Accountable is a staple word for us as repenting daughters of Sarah. Okay, because our goal is to be how Sarah was. Okay, Sarah went wherever her Lord told her to go. Sarah did whatever her Lord told her to do. Okay, and that is our goal. If we're trying to be like, well, you need to be Abraham. Now, how would you feel if he turned around and was like, you need to be Sarah? Now what you gonna do? You're gonna stand there, you know what? And then we're gonna deflect like we normally do. Because there have been plenty of times I've been involved in stupid arguments, and I would call Shamara, Mother Shamara, and she's like, Mahida. I'm laughing about it now, because now I find myself saying that to other sisters. Something they want to get upset about, I'm like, ooh, that used to be me though. That used to be me. And Mother Shamara can say, ooh, that used to be me though. Don't do what I did. That's all it is. That the age women, right, teach the younger women how to love their husbands. And then the bottom part says, and how to love their children. Okay. But the priority in the house is your Lord. He is Jesus in the house.